Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Grand Seiko Heritage Collection reference SBGR257. This watch is available from Chronex.com for €3,770. You can purchase the watch from Chronex.com online or alternatively in person at their boutiques. All their watches are Chronex certified original by their in-house watchmakers, and all their watches are covered by the Chronex 24-month warranty. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the Grand Seiko SBGR257 comes in a watch box which is protected by this blue cardboard outer watch box, as you can see. So this is the watch box itself, as you can see, very aesthetically pleasing. It has a hinged lid, and the watch itself sits on a padded pillow cushion, as one would expect. Inside the lid we also have the Grand Seiko Lion brand emblem, so very aesthetically pleasing presentation. With regards to the other items, this is the owner's instruction manual. As you can see, it is translated into multiple foreign languages, clear concise diagrams, clear concise instructions, very thorough, and it details every aspect of the Grand Seiko SBGR257, including operating the caliber 9S65 movement. One also gets this wallet, and as you can see on the reverse it also has the Grand Seiko emblem, and this wallet contains the Grand Seiko inspection certificate for the piece. It details the certificate number, caliber number, movement serial number and case serial number, and it certifies that the watch and the movements used in the watch have fully passed all of Grand Seiko's inspection, and I can tell you that is incredibly stringent. The watch has to meet very strict criteria. And lastly, one also gets this certificate guarantee booklet, and this details the terms and conditions of the warranty that comes with the Grand Seiko SBGR257. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Grand Seiko Heritage Collection reference SBGR257, 39.4mm case diameter. We have a 46.4mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 13.5mm, including the domed sapphire crystal. The lug width is 19mm, and there is a slight taper from 19mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push clasp, which is signed with the Grand Seiko brand emblem. 162 grams of heft, and it has 100 meters of water resistance. Glossy black dial, which complements the applied silver indices and the dolphin hands. Now, with regards to Grand Seiko, they are famous for Zaratsu case polishing and also bracelet polishing, but another thing that Grand Seiko is famous for is the finishing of their hands. I'm going to tell you that this is the best hand finishing I have seen on any watch. I have reviewed over 100 watches on my channel, and the quality of the finishing on the dolphin hands on this Grand Seiko piece are top tier level. This isn't the kind of finishing one expects to see on dolphin hands on a mid-tier piece costing only €3,770. I would expect to see this level of polishing to the hands on a high-tier piece costing in excess of €10,000, and Grand Seiko deserve full credit for producing outstanding quality polished applied indices. The polished mirror frame to the date complication is also outstanding. I love the symmetry of the dial and the fact it's not over branded with text or specification. It simply has the silver applied Grand Seiko brand emblem, Grand Seiko, and then it says automatic at 6 o'clock. Just the right amount of information. The legibility, the functionality of the dial are perfection. So absolutely gorgeous dolphin handsets, and I've looked at these under magnification using a loupe, and I can tell you that the polishing on the dolphin hands is just exceptional. Absolutely flawless. It's a level above the hands used on Rolex and Omega pieces, for example, and bear in mind they are significantly more expensive than the price point of this Grand Seiko SBGR257. The crown is solid stainless steel, coin edge finished, and also signed with the Grand Seiko brand emblem, finished to perfection. So let's test the crown action. Absolutely silky smooth, good foam resistance to the threading, which is very satisfying. And the caliber 9S65 has a characteristic pop which pushes out the winding stem and the crown with a spring-loaded action. In the first position is the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the caliber 9S65 to its maximum power reserve, which is an impressive 72 hours. Absolute pleasure to manually wind it to top it up to its 72 hours maximum, and one can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication position, so rotating the crown clockwise operates the quick set date. As you can see, the complication works as one would expect. The movement has hacking. Pulling it out to the final position hacks the movement. As you can see, the second hand is now hacked, it's stopped dead, and one can set the time in the final click position. Good foam resistance to the caliber 9S65, which I really like. It feels silky smooth, but it has a nice firm resistance. One can feel the gears in the movement when setting the time. So an outstanding movement. It is technically excellent, reliable, the build quality, the quality control are all outstanding. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click and that restarts the movement, so I'll just test screwing it back down. Immediate pick up to the threads. The internal thread of the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube mesh perfectly. There's an instant pick up, and it's something that Grand Seiko do very well. Their crown execution is absolutely flawless. It's one of the best crown actions I've experienced. So the crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, as does the screw down exhibition case back, as you can see, which is mirror polished to a flawless finish and engraved with this specification. The exhibition case back is glazed with sapphire crystal, and it does an outstanding job of displaying the caliber 9S65 movement. As you can see, there are beautiful milled stripes on both the rotor and also the bridges of the movement. The movement is also engraved to a very high standard, and the engraving is gilded, as is the Grand Seiko emblem and also Grand Seiko logo, which are also engraved to a high standard on the rotor. So fully gilded engraving, and it's just an absolute delight to look at. The caliber 9S65 is a pleasure to look at, but it is also technically excellent. 72-hour power reserve, as I've discussed, is very impressive. It has a stated accuracy of +5 to -3 seconds per day when the movement is static, and a accuracy of +10 to -1 seconds per day in normal daily usage. Now I'm pleased to report that this one has been regulated to a very high standard, and it is consistently running at +2 seconds per day, which is excellent, bearing in mind the price point and also bearing in mind it has 72 hours of power reserve. To get +2 seconds per day consistently when the movement's wound to its maximum 72 hours is incredible. 35 joules to the movement, and it has hand winding and hacking, so it is an accurate, reliable, technically excellent movement, impressive power reserve, and the quality control and the finishing is exceptional throughout. This is the kind of finishing to the bridges of a movement one would expect to see on a high tip piece costing in excess of €10,000, and again, to get this at only €3,770 is a credit to Grand Seiko. One is getting a high tier quality movement in a mid tier piece, so it really is exceptional value. The screw down exhibition case back mirror polishing is just absolutely flawless. Now, as I've discussed, Grand Seiko is famous for its Zaratsu case polishing. It's not just machine polished, the cases are finished by hand using Zaratsu case polishing processes, and I can tell you that this is some of the best case polishing I have seen on any watch, regardless of the price point. Brush satin finish to the bezel is absolutely flawless. Brush satin finish to the tops of the lugs is flawless. Nice large mirror polished chamfers, which mark the transition between the tops of the lugs and the flanks of the case. The mirror polishing on the flanks of the case is incredible. It's the kind of mirror polishing one would expect to see on a Holy Trinity piece such as Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet and Vacheron Constantin respectively. The 316L grade stainless steel has been mirror polished into the most incredible finish. Really, Zaratsu case polishing is some of the best case finishing in the world. I also like the use of drilled holes in the flanks of the case, and that means changing the bracelet for a strap is easy with a spring bar tool because one can use the holes in the lugs. Nice detail to have included. So interesting contrast in finishing between the brush satin finish on the tops of the case and the mirror polished flanks. So throughout, including the case back and the underside of the case, which is also mirror polished, the finishing is just 10 out of 10, absolutely flawless. That also carries through to the bracelet. The solid end links are a good tight fit to the case, brush satin finished, and the luster of the 316L grade stainless steel, as you can see, is just exceptional. It's just absolutely beautiful. This is the difference between a Grand Seiko and other mid-tier brands. they are able to brush satin finish the 316L grade stainless steel into a higher grade of finish. One doesn't get this characteristic luster of a Grand Seiko on other mid-tier pieces. As you can see, the way it catches the light, the luster is just exceptional. It really is high tier level. And bear in mind, this is a mid-tier piece costing €3,770. It's just very impressive. Mirror polish to the flanks, and we have a pushpin and collar system rather than screw pins. Just absolutely gorgeous. The bracelet is incredible. 2-button push clasp is very well executed, good firm resistance to the 2 triggers, and the interior is solid milled stainless steel as one would expect. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside, but we have mirror polish chamfers to the edges of the interior. And I can tell you the quality of the finishing in terms of the deburring, the chamfering, the mirror polishing to the interior of this solid milled stainless steel clasp is some of the best I've seen. It's actually superior to Rolex and Omega level. It's just absolutely incredible. The mirror polishing to the chamfers and the deburring, it's just beautiful to look at. So this is the kind of attention to detail one is getting with the Grand Seiko. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet. I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report, as you can see, it fits my 8-inch wrist with no problems whatsoever. It is actually the perfect fit without sizing. So this watch will fit you if you have a larger 7 to 8-inch wrist with no difficulty whatsoever. 39.4mm case diameter gives a very comfortable fit on wrist. It's a relatively low profile piece at only 13.5mm, including the double dome sapphire crystal. The double dome sapphire crystal has a clear AR coating on the underside, and that does an excellent job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and the high quality polished dolphin hands. Absolutely gorgeous piece to look at on wrist. Feel good factor is outstanding, comfort level is outstanding. I've worn this watch for 8 to 12 hours per day, and it is an incredibly comfortable piece to wear for long periods of time due to the flat sapphire crystal in the screw down exhibition case back and the low profile case. The lug to lug measurement is only 46.4. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be perfection. 46.4 is significantly less than that, but however, due to the curved profile of the angular lugs on the underside, it does wrap around the wrist very snugly. It's a very close, snug fit to the wrist. So this really is the perfect daily wear piece. If you wear business shirts, this will easily slip underneath a business shirt because it's only 13.5mm tall. And I absolutely love the double dome sapphire crystal. If this had a single dome sapphire crystal, there would be a lot of distortion and the characteristic magnification effects like a magnifying glass. But using double dome sapphire crystal, which is curved on the underside and the top side, it reduces the reflection. It also reduces the magnification and distortion one gets with a single dome sapphire crystal. So the clear AR coating is highly effective on the underside of the double dome sapphire crystal. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it also is clearly legible. So it's an outstanding piece. Now, there is no loom on the applied indices and the dolphin hands, but as this is a daily wear piece, that is perfectly acceptable. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So €3,770. Yes, this is excellent quality, and yes, this is excellent value. When it's getting high tier level finishing and quality control and build quality throughout at a mid-tier price point. Now, the other thing is, the Caliber 9S65, which is a personal favourite Grand Seiko caliber, this is one of the greatest Grand Seiko movements ever made. 72-hour power reserve, and it has a stated accuracy of +5 to -3. And as I've discussed, this one is better than that. It's regulated to +2 seconds per day, which is incredible accuracy. It's within chronometer limits. The finishing and the build quality of this movement, the Caliber 9S65, is high tier level. So one is getting a high tier movement in a mid-tier piece at a mid-tier price point, but the watch itself is finished throughout to a high tier level. So really it's like purchasing a €10,000 watch for only €3,770. And if this were a Swiss-made piece, one would fully expect to pay €10,000 for it, because that is the quality level, that is the movement level. So really, Grand Seiko represents outstanding value. It's an incredible proposition. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. There are no negatives to this piece whatsoever. The proportions are outstanding, the feel-good factor is outstanding, the quality is just incredible. So I hope you've liked my review of the Grand Seiko Heritage Collection, reference SBGR257. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.